Brambletrek is a GM-less mouse adventure role-playing game by Crossed Paths, written by A.R. Swain and published in 2024 following a successful crowdfund campaign. I've crossed paths with Crossed Paths a few times on this channel actually, first with a review of the first high-production Winnie the Pooh RPG, which was actually based on the rules of Brambletrek, but itself a standalone game. Then with the coverage of Draconim, which is a more traditional sort of high fantasy RPG complete with sprawling lore and dragon companions and gemstone dice, the whole 9 yards there. Brambletrek is a cozy journaling RPG about tiny mice-like adventurers called Gnawborn, and you don't really play to win as much as to just enjoy a journey. To play, you'll need a deck of 52 playing cards, the 37-page rulebook, a character sheet, and a journal with a pen or pencil. Aside from the major standalone expansion of the Winnie the Pooh game, there have been some smaller expansions for Brambletrek: Dungeons of Dragonkeep, Secrets of the World Tree, The Pumpkin Party, and The Warmth of the First Frost. The first of these runs 32 pages, and the other 3 run 16 pages each. In this video, I just want to walk you through character creation, the general rules, and the rules for combat. Then I want to share with you my thoughts on how the game actually plays and how I experienced it personally. Ultimately, I'd love to hear about any experiences you have had with Brambletrek or similar cozy journaling RPGs like it down in the comments below, and of course I'll leave a link to where you can find Brambletrek. Okay, so making your character. You play as a brave little mouse called a Gnawborn, and your Gnawborn is comprised of a number of different aspects. You can draw a card or choose the following: a reason for your Gnawborn to be adventuring, a background that depicts where in their little mouse village society they came from, and a trinket or small item that you will rely on and treasure. Those are all more soft narrative details that you'll draw upon to zero in on your character in the course of the journey, but where the rubber hits the road here is with your 3 resources: health, morale, and supplies. You will draw 2 cards to determine the starting value for each resource. Number cards are just their number, face cards are 10, and aces are 11. Your maximum for each resource is always going to be 20, and I'll just tell you right now, your starting number for these could be high or low, but it hardly matters how you start because the resources fluctuate wildly in the course of play. So don't sweat it if you draw low right out of the gate. The final step before starting a journey is to pick from one of 6 legacies. These are essentially your classes, and they each come with 4 special abilities that can be used once per day. The Scrapper, for example, has abilities that double their damage on an attack, halve the amount of damage received, reduce enemy damage, or restore health. Okay, so once you have your Gnawborn sorted, you approach your journey in terms of days. For each day, you draw 4 cards and resolve them one by one. In the core book, there are 2 sets of prompts: a baseline set that describes all kinds of possible adventures in the forest, and a set of prompts for the so-called Aldwound, which is a cave system found below the forest. You enter Aldwound if you are prompted to do so from the Depths tag found in some of the prompts in the previous set. If you're in the Aldwound and you draw a card that points you to a prompt that contains the Exit tag, then you make your way back to the forest above and draw 4 prompts there again. You might also hit a prompt that has the Item tag. That means that you will draw a card for an item. A couple of things about these items. One is that they each have a positive effect, but that effect can only be used once at the time of your choosing. And the second is actually something that applies to all of the table entries in this entire game, and that is the fact that you are welcome to change the nature of the entry as you see fit. The tables are meant to inspire more than be prescriptive details in your ongoing story. Finally, you might hit a prompt that says combat, and this will launch you into the very frequently occurring fight sequence that happens in the course of play. The way I run combat is first by defining who the enemy is. You can draw a couple of cards to determine the number of HP and the general type of animal you're fighting, or you can make it up yourself. HP ranges from 2 to 16, I guess, if you draw an ace. The next step is to draw a card for yourself and your enemy. The higher card will get the first turn. After that is to draw 4 cards from your hand and 1 card for the enemy. If your enemy goes first, then that card you drew for it will tell you its tactic for this turn. It usually results in an attempted loss of HP or morale. Then when it's your turn, you choose from one of your 4 cards and play it on your specific legacy tactics column. So for example, if I was a seer and I wanted to play a 10 card in my hand, I would initiate Energy Drain, deal 2 damage and recover 2 health. Then that would be the end of the first turn. You would then draw another card for the enemy, resolve that card against the opponent tactics table, then play a card from your remaining hand. You go back and forth until you run out of cards in your hand, at which point you draw 4 more cards. The combat ends when you've run out of HP or morale, or the enemy has run out of HP. There is some guidance on how to play this game with 2, 3, 4, or even more people, but the game remains GM-less. You still just use card draws to determine events and enemies. I played this game solo, and it was familiar to me since I had run the Winnie the Pooh game before. Here are some of my biggest takeaways from my playthrough. Resources fluctuate wildly. Your HP, morale, and supplies swing pretty aggressively up and down in the normal course of play. I think this could be construed as the game being unbalanced, but I think it was entirely intentional as a means of generating maximum drama in the shortest amount of time. You're not meant to rush through the days in order to get to an endpoint in this game. The point is the journey itself, so if you slow it down and really journal out and describe each prompt and battle with care and attention, you can make good use of the wild swingy numbers, as was intended. Combat comes up a lot. As warm and fuzzy as this game seems at first blush, your little mouse gets into a lot of fights with other animals. It's just the nature of the prompt tables. I found myself constantly getting my butt kicked by hummingbirds and eagles and squirrels. Your journaling makes or breaks the game. While the cards and mechanics provide structure, the actual gameplay emerges in how you interpret and expand on the prompts in your journal. A simple "you encounter a fallen log" prompt might become a detailed scene about your Thaumavore's fear of heights, a memory of their village, or a clever problem-solving moment. The mechanics serve your story and your willingness to lean in with the details. Wishlist. I'd like a comprehensive animal or enemy generator. While the game does provide some guidance on creating enemies by drawing cards for HP and general animal type, I found myself pausing and having to conjure a lot of details of the enemy animals out of thin air. It would be nice to have tables that could generate not just the type of creature, but also its specific behavior, appearance, motivations, or unique characteristics. Optional tables, of course, just there to inspire. So that's Brambletrek, a cozy RPG that puts a little mouse adventurer through a surprising amount of harrowing combat. It's simple enough to start playing in about 5 minutes, but deep enough that you might find yourself genuinely invested in your little Thaumavore's fate. If you're looking for tactical combat and character optimization, this is probably not the experience you're looking for, but if you want something that encourages you to slow down, flex your creative muscles, and enjoy the process of storytelling for its own sake, then Brambletrek might be exactly what you need. I'd love to hear from you if you've tried Brambletrek. Drop a comment below and let me know how your own tiny adventures went. I'll leave links below to where you can find the game, and thanks as always for watching. I'll see ya.